Okay, my new apartment is set up. You can see all of the stuff behind me, all of the art and things. And so I figured I would go around and show you around. Just, why not? Okay, this is the living room coming into the apartment. We've got a brand new couch. It's very exciting. The cats love it. Got some Critical Role art and then some Pokemon cards because you need to display those. Why not? Oh my god. I didn't know my wife did this. Beautiful. We also have this that my friend gave me. Pile of boxes, television, kitchen table that's a hot mess. Kitty cat station over here with some games below. More boxes, more boxes. I swear we'll get this together someday. Here's the, we had a much bigger kitchen in the other apartment, so we needed to get a shelving unit just to have appliances on it because my wife loves cooking. Here's the little bitty kitchen. We got some cool magnets because my wife likes to take buttons and then turn them into magnets instead. So that's fun. To the right is the office, which has lots of art. My friend made me that like 10 years ago. It's seen better days. That's a record that has my name on it. An ex gave me that, but we pretend that that's not the case. Got a nice little jackalope. Some Ramona flowers and Scott Pilgrim art. And then more Dungeons and Dragons. Some action and horror movies. And here is my normal background. So all of the books, everything organized, my jigsaw puzzles. Here for a second. This is the other bathroom. And there's the hole in the ceiling where the leak has been. It'll get fixed eventually, probably. Here we've got a kitty. She cares not. The other kitty is hiding underneath the blanket. Here's my big bookshelf. And we got some more boxes. And then finally my wall of tiny pictures. Because I feel like the tiny pictures need to be put up, but they look weird if you don't clump them all together. So, just my wall of tiny pictures. Oh, let's come back over here into the kitchen where you can see my pin collection. Kind of see it. That's fun. Okay, I want to talk about the book that I just finished. This is a big, I've been waiting for this book to come out for a long time now. It's the Critical Role What Doesn't Break, which is the Laudna origin story. And they announced this like a year ago. I feel like even longer than that. And I finally finished it yesterday. And I feel like the reviews on Goodreads are skewed because this is all Critical Role fans who are reading it. And I feel like they're all just giving it 5 stars because they love Critical Role so much. I personally love Critical Role as well, but I am behind on the 3rd campaign. I've never finished any of the campaigns. I just watched the beginning and then I never finished them. I'm only on, I think I'm only on episode 32 of the campaign and they're on like 110 episodes. So I'm pretty far behind. I picked up this book because it was a good way to kind of get back into the campaign. And so I just want to talk about it for a little bit. I feel like even if you don't watch Critical Role, this is a book that you could get into really easily. If you are used to reading fantasy books where you have to kind of get into the world for a little bit before you really understand what's going on, this is kind of just like that. I mean, it mentions that there's 2 moons like 3/4 of the way into the book. Like, it just kind of drops random lore on you, but if you're used to that kind of thing with a fantasy book, I think you'll be fine with this. It's written really beautifully. It's rare for me to find books that I don't know all the words in it, and this had some new vocab words for me. I did not look them up. I just took context from the second sentence because I'm too lazy to look up the new words. And it's fine. I don't know how much to go into this book without spoilers, because it all happens in the prologue. The incident, we'll call it. This character is a sorcerer. She is undead. She doesn't know where she is. She doesn't remember her past. She doesn't remember what happened. And she starts calling herself Ladna. And she has a mysterious voice in her head that's trying to tell her what to do and how to survive. And she considers it her only friend. And this book is very dark to begin with, because it shows her death in the beginning. This is a girl who has a mysterious voice in her head. She doesn't know who it is. She just calls it the voice because the voice refuses to tell her name. And this girl just wants a friend. That's basically the entire premise of this book. She is lonely. She just has this voice in her head, and because she is undead, she gets chased out of a lot of villages and things like that because they see her as a monster. And so her whole goal is to just want a friend. So this is kind of a sweet story, but it's also dark. So I think if you are not a Critical Role fan, I think it would still be good to pick up. I'm hoping they come out with more of these origin stories. This is pretty good. It was written really, really well. And I think I think she's pretty famous in the fantasy group, Cassandra Khaw. I think she's famous in the fantasy space. I've never read any of her books before, but I may have to because her writing is gorgeous. I don't really have anything bookish to say. I am in the middle of reading Blue Sisters. I don't remember who it's by. I just wanted to show you this horrific bruise that I have. This is, I fell like 4 days ago, I think it was, and it looked much worse. Now it's a little better. Rosalind, what are you doing up there? Just freaking out? Just absolutely losing it. You've been booped, bitch. I feel like a lot of the time my autism is debilitating, which, it's a disability, so it makes sense that it would be, but sometimes it hits in unexpected ways. So I went to a live show a couple of years ago for Dan Howell's, I forget what the tour was even called, but it was a comedy show basically, and there were a lot of fangirls there, and so there was a lot of screaming every time he said stuff, and it was very overwhelming, and it was horrible. And I didn't bring my headphones because I had just barely been diagnosed with autism at the time. Actually, I don't know if I was even diagnosed at that point. So I didn't bring anything to prepare, and I had a terrible time every time someone screamed or clapped really loudly or just cheered. I would have to plug my ears, and so I missed half the show because of it, and we ended up leaving early. And so I've been afraid to go to a live show ever since, or concerts. I don't like concerts. I don't think they're very fun. But Dimension 20, one of the Dungeons and Dragons shows that I watch, is going on a tour again, and they're going to be in the West Coast. They're going to be in Las Vegas. I go there all the time. I'm constantly in Las Vegas, 6 hours away, and I can see some of my favorite Dungeons and Dragons creators. The two of them are the creators of my favorite podcast, Not Another D&D Podcast. That might not mean anything to some of you because this is supposed to be a channel about books, but it's my special interest, so you gotta deal with it. But not only is it in Las Vegas, it's also on the Strip, which my wife hates going on the Strip because I am incapable of driving to new places. So I would be worried because if I got tickets and we went and we somehow managed to get there, the crowd would be screaming constantly at everything. because I can't even listen to podcasts where people do live shows. Like, I can't listen to them. The crowd gets me too anxious. I hate it. I hate listening to live shows. So it just kind of sucks. So yeah, let me know if any of you have this problem, because I know other people with autism that go to live shows and they're perfectly fine. So is it just me? Is it just my problem that I just need to deal with? I don't know. I'm trying to make these videos longer because I want to show my life, and I want to show, I don't know, just kind of fun things, but I realize that I don't do anything in my life. I go to work, I go home. That's all I do. So I don't know, I have some friends coming over tomorrow. Maybe I'll film some of that. And then, oh, let me show you what I'm reading. Okay, this is just the dust jacket because I don't want to get the actual book. This is What You're Looking For Is in the Library. Michiko Ayoyama, I think is how you say that. I could be very wrong. But this is a story about, it's kind of like Before the Coffee Gets Cold, where it's a bunch of short stories about people, and it takes place, I believe, in the one library. I'm not quite sure. I'm only like 20 pages in, but I was excited about this book because as a person who frequents the library and just loves being there, it's kind of just like a cozy environment where there's people, just everybody's quiet, which is nice for my easily overstimulated brain. And everyone's just there for books. It's such a nice place. If you don't go to your library, you should go to your library more. It's fun. But the first story that I'm in is about a woman who is works in a store as a sales associate, and she basically has no ambition. She doesn't really know what she wants to do with her life. And then she finds out that if she wants to get a better job, she'd probably need to learn Excel. And so she goes to a free computer class or not a free one, but she goes to a computer class at the library, and they recommend some books to her. So she goes to the library, and that's as far as I've gotten. I think I don't know if it's like the books are magical, the woman's magical. I'm not quite sure what. I'm not quite sure. But look at this cover. It's so cute. I love it so much. Any book that has a cat on the cover, I'm a sucker for. Oh, it's just gonna start. It's just gonna start without me. I was not ready. I'm just sitting here contemplating what I'm gonna say, and my camera's like, time to go, bitch. I did an apartment tour, and I'm gonna upload that, but I didn't really go over what's on my desk, just because there was work on it and I didn't really want to show that. So maybe I'll show you, there's a lot of stuff on it now, so maybe I'll show you some of it, and skip over some things. There's some pictures of my niece and stuff like that, so I'm not gonna show that kind of thing. But okay, let's start up here at the top of my desk. This armadillo my dad got me from Texas, I think. That seems like a Texas thing, right? I've had it forever. We've got this little baby picture of me and my brothers, and Space Jesus that I got out of a sticker machine that local artists put stickers in. So if you know, you know. If you live in Utah, you know what Space Jesus is. We got this picture of a local artist did that I got from a small business shop that opened up in the mall. I just think it's fun. It's cute. I love Togepi. This probably doesn't really show that I love Togepi since his shell is cracked and he's getting hit against a wall, but you know, it's cute. These are some crafts that my mom made when I was a kid, because they used to do craft fairs in my elementary school. Okay. I was in love with lamb chop when I was a kid, so my mom made a cat thing made out of lamb chop fabric from like Joann's or something like that when I was a kid. And then we have a little sticker that I got from an artist. And then I don't know if you can see it. There's a little Red Riding Hood in a wolf keychain that I got from a book box a long time ago. Over here is a TARDIS. That's just actually a game of Yahtzee. I just like how it looks. Then we go down. That's a Ponyta from Pokemon, obviously. Here is Critical Role, the Mighty Nine. It's a little standy. That's about it. And then over here we have the cat bus from My Neighbor Totoro. This is actually a light that my best friend gave me. It's a light up D20. Over here are some little Tsum Tsums, I think is what they're called, that my mom gave me a long time ago. And then if you watched my previous video when we went to some antique stores, that's where I got this cursed kitty from. Then we got over here some more Pokemon stuff. We got Flareon, and then a little Pokeball that's been, every time I hit my desk it goes further into the back. I actually got this for my wife with a bunch of other Valentine's Day art, but it ended up on my desk somehow. And then we have the emotional support Nathan Drake. Very important. Okay, let's take a look down here. I was up there on my desk. Let's not show the picture of my niece. Here's my computer. We got a signed picture from Laura Bailey. Very fun. We've got an Ida Egg Fort from Dimension 20. Very important. Over here is a plate that I got when I did a story at my college. I did a story on the new, I don't even know what they were called, but they made like nameplates for everybody at the school, at the college, and so they gave me one to show me how it worked. These are some NADPOD coasters. So for the people that listen to that podcast, that's fun. If you don't, that's a weird reference. That's a knife. And then over here we got a picture of my mom. And then we've got Harley Quinn and Beauregard from Critical Role. Over here is just a bunch of pens I've collected over the years. This is a pride flag from the first drag show I ever went to, which was a long time ago, which is why it has seen better days. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about what you're looking for is in the library. I'm on the 3rd story currently. I think there's 4 in total. So it's very much like Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I don't want to keep making comparisons to that, but it's very similar. It takes place in the same library. If the customers come in, they find a book, and then they're given an extra book kind of without explanation, and also a little felt, the stabby thing in felt, and it becomes like a creature. I think they called it felting in this. I really liked the first story. It was about a woman who was working in an office, or no, was working in a store as like a sales associate, and she goes to the library and gets a book she's given a book that's just a children's book, and it inspires her to start cooking. And I liked that one in particular because all of her problems aren't solved in the end. She's still in a job that she doesn't like, or she feels like she's not doing enough with her job. She feels like she should be in like an office or something like that. So there was a lot that was still up in the air with her. Like, this book didn't fix all of her problems. It was more in the second story obvious that he knew where he was going with his life, and he knew what his next steps were. And so I kind of liked the more ambiguous ending of the first one, where, because one book out of a library is not going to fix your life, you know? And so I kind of liked the first story better. I just started the 3rd story. It's about a woman who worked in a newspaper, or she worked in a magazine, and as soon as she gets pregnant and has a baby, she gets fired and has to go work somewhere else in the same magazine or in a different department. And so she's really angry about that. She goes to the library, and that's as far as I've gotten. Check back in later and we'll see how much I like it. I'm really liking it so far. I'm not really an anthology person, but at the same time I seem to be enjoying, like, I really liked Before the Coffee Gets Cold. This book is certainly more hopeful than Before the Coffee Gets Cold. That book is kind of like a saying goodbye to things, when this book is more about starting something new. So if you didn't like that book because it was too depressing, maybe pick up this book. It's a similar kind of vein, but at the same time I find it a lot more hopeful. Also, I got this book in the mail recently. I just got it in yesterday. You've probably heard of it because it was all over TikTok. At least it was all over my TikTok, and I'm not on like an artsy side of TikTok, so I don't know how this ended up being a part of anything. But this is How to Draw Adorable. I go through these phases of drawing, and let me put that down. I go through these phases of when I want to draw and when I don't. It's been about a year since I've last drawn something. I drew all of my friends' D&D characters, but I can only do like this much. I don't know how to do like bodies and stuff like that. I was learning how to draw from Critical Role's drawing class called Pub Draw. It was Babs Tarr, who is a comic book artist, teaching one of the members of Critical Role how to draw, and you kind of like learn along with her. So I kind of learned from that. Let's see, I have a sketchbook that's basically full that I've had for like 15 years. Let me see. This is probably one of my better ones. This is my D&D character, Violet. She's a tiefling, and she is really into necromancer magic, and she's got an undead kitty that follows her around. But yeah, that's kind of as good as I got. It's kind of an update. I don't have a lot else going on. I didn't take any video from when my friends came over yesterday or on Saturday because I didn't want to get into their face and bother them. So this is my non-committal Halloween costume. You can't even see it because of the goddamn light, but I'm wearing this really cool headband. And I was going for like a fairy aesthetic, like a forest fairy aesthetic. My wife dressed as a mushroom, so I kind of was like, I'll match. Then I've got this big flowy shirt and this cool skirt. And then you're probably thinking, Lori, if you are a fairy, where the fuck are your wings? And that is a good question. They were on my shoes because I didn't want to get made fun of by the drivers, because I work with a bunch of box truck drivers and tractor trailer drivers, and I didn't want them making fun of me, so I didn't want to wear actual wings. That's it. Goodbye. Okay, I finished it. I finished this book, whatever the fuck it's called. What You're Looking For is in the library. I think my favorite stories, there were actually 5 of them, was the first and the last one. And they kind of tie all of the stories together. Like one character will kind of be mentioned in another story, or maybe appear for a second. But the last story was just so cute. It was just about an old retired man appreciating poetry. It was just so cute. Yeah, that's about it. I think it was... I would probably give this 3 stars. It's, let me put this down. I think it was a really hopeful book, but I think everything was solved a little too easily. Like the first story I liked because it wasn't solved, like everything wasn't solved, like I mentioned earlier, but the more stories that happened, the more everyone found one book and it changed their entire life. And I get that that's part of the magical realism of the whole book, is that yes, you can find one book and it'll change your life, but at the same time, like, I don't know, it's just a little too easy for me. I wish there was a little bit more conflict. But if you're looking for a nice simple read, it's a pretty good book. It is really sweet. And yeah, it's definitely just a nice hopeful book. I think, I don't know if there's anything else I'm going to add to this video. So thanks for watching.